Young people are already reshaping how food is grown, shared, and sustained. The Mizizi Youth Voices podcast series brings you their stories. This is a space where we spotlight young leaders working in the sustainability and regenerative space. Through conversations with young people from different parts of the world, we explore the ideas, challenges, and innovations shaping more just, resilient, and sustainable futures. This mini-series focuses on youth voices in food and farming and is connected to the Mizizi Magazine Youth Edition launching in June 2026. You can learn more at mzizimag.africa. This mini-series is a collaboration between Mizizi Magazine, Young Professionals for Agricultural Development, ICLEI AfriFood Links, and Green Action Week. My name is Hannah Hopper, and I will be your host for this series. Hello and welcome to Mizizi Youth Voices. Today I am joined by Suzannah Phiri, an entrepreneur for rural access and youth leader currently serving as the global lead of #Youth for Soil initiative and country representative for Young Professionals for Agricultural Development in Zambia. Suzannah has extensive experience in fostering meaningful youth engagement and agri-food systems transformation, and women-focused interventions. She is an alumni of the Global Changemakers School and the Global Leadership Fellows Program. Academically, she holds a bachelor's degree in education and recently completed a diploma in agroecology from Kasisi Agricultural Training Center, further deepening her expertise in sustainable farming practices. Suzannah, it is wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I am also happy to be here with you.
Let's start off with the first question. What first drew you to working in food systems, agriculture, or sustainability as a young person?
I come from a family farming background, and my family has been raised farmers for a long time. And as I grew older, I was pushed to venture into growing fresh spices, broiler chickens, vegetables, and growing orange flesh sweet potato to raise funds for my bachelor's degree primarily. So though I practiced as a teacher, I was often drawn back to the field because it earned me more, but also for many other reasons that I could easily practice at home. And then whilst in the space, I began interacting with other young people through the Cardiff Youth Network. And these interactions encouraged me to explore agriculture further until I was a recipient of a smart projector from Access Agriculture that I used to showcase farmer-to-farmer learning videos.
Thank you, Suzannah. From your perspective, what is one of the biggest challenges facing food systems in your region right now?
One of the biggest challenges is the gap between production and consumption. So we are in this pressure to produce more, and it's pushing us towards unsustainable practices that are accelerating land degradation. At the same time, our consumption behaviors are not tied to our production. And so we end up producing a whole thing that when it's in excess gets wasted or gets lost. And then our nutrition on the other side remains stagnant. So there's that gap that we are not addressing very well. We need to tie our consumption habits, healthy consumption habits, to what we are producing. Because currently, even when we're producing food locally, the very people that are producing it have the highest levels of malnutrition, undernutrition. And so it's a gap that I know that if we addressed, it would be essential for sustainable and nourishing food systems.
I'm hearing that the people that are actually producing the food are not benefiting from the fruits of it. What role do you think young people can play in transforming food systems?
I will pick on three roles, that is innovators, advocates, and entrepreneurs. As innovators, young people can bring digital skills, creativity, and fresh ideas to develop sustainable agri-food system solutions and rebrand the agri-food system as a modern and viable life. As advocates, young people can engage in shaping policy and public opinion by championing sustainability, nutrition, and equity. Because their voices right now, we are working with a huge young people's population, and we are also highly likely to live with the decisions and the actions that we're taking now. So young people's voices need to stand out. Young people need to stand up, and their voices need to stand out for shaping policy and public opinion, and for us to be able to champion sustainability, nutrition, and equity in the agri-food system. The third one would be as entrepreneurs. Young people can build enterprises in processing and distribution, and in research to create jobs and strengthen local economies within the agri-food system.
What gives you hope when you think about the future of food and farming?
What gives me hope is the momentum. It's not at zero. Like I said in my introduction, I come from a family farming background, but when it was time to pursue education and try to put my life together, I had gone a different route. But whilst interacting with the network of other young people within the agri-food system space, I got inspired to do more, and it has helped me to explore other avenues. So the momentum is not at zero. I'm inspired daily by my colleagues in YPARD and the Youthful Soil Network. They are proving daily that agri-food systems can be sustainable and profitable. If we continue on this path, bring more youth on board and gather support to scale, transformation is within reach. And also on a personal level, I find hope in small things, the joy of seeing young farmers proud of their harvests, the spark in agriculture students when they discover agriculture can be innovative, and the sense of community that reminds me food is more than just for survival. It's connection to the land, connection to the people that are making ends meet off of it. So yeah, I would say I have hope in the small things, the everyday duties of people on the farm, of those that are participating in different distributors, and also on the fact that we're not at zero. Young people, especially my colleagues in YPAD and Youth for Soil, are making strides.
You're highlighting the importance of community and being part of a bigger movement. You've done a lot of work with YPARD and Youth for Soil. With that in mind, what practical steps can institutions take to keep youth engaged and thriving in agriculture? And what role can institutions and communities play in making sustainability a practical pathway for young people?
For some practical steps, I would recommend the two ABC. So that's the first A is access, the second A, accountability. The third one is a B, and it's build. And then C is for connect. The first A, access. Institutions and other stakeholders and communities must give access to practical opportunities. While most of these opportunities are available on paper, the practicality of these opportunities leaves much to be desired. And so there is this systemic exclusion of young people's effective participation within the agri-food system space. And the second A, accountability. We need this to ensure stakeholders act responsibly. We need proper systems that we can use to hold stakeholders accountable, because young people are highly likely to live the longest with the decisions and actions that we are taking today. And so stakeholders must be open to be queried, to be held accountable by young people. And so these systems are highly needed, and communities and institutions should put these systems in place and use them effectively. Going to the B, which is build, communities and institutions need to build supportive structures through mentorship and recognition. These supportive structures are what will enable young people to even access the opportunities that are on paper, and yet the process to access them is unknown. And the last letter, which is C, connect. It is very important that institutions and communities connect youth to financing, they connect youth to policy spaces, they connect youth to land, and many other spaces that young people need to fully engage within the agri-food system. That connection needs to be there. If it means the older generation connecting young people to the land, let the older generation take it upon themselves to connect these young people to the land, even those that are in urban areas, to not live forever thinking food comes maybe from a chain store or a supermarket. Those that are ready to be connected to the land can be connected to the land. And so connection to many other things that will enable young people to thrive. So when all these things align, I think agriculture becomes not just a subject, but a thriving life path.
Access, accountability, build and connect, these are all really, really important principles of how we get young people to follow the pathway of agroecology. You work with a lot of young people in your various roles. From your experience, how does youth-led peer-to-peer learning change the way young people see themselves in food systems compared to traditional top-down mentorship?
With appreciation for the traditional top-down mentorship, because it is necessary in many other circumstances, I just want to highlight that peer-to-peer learning is like a mirror. So I'm looking at a fellow young person and I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing what I am able to do if I did exactly what the other person was doing. I see the limitations that the person has and how they manage to go above those limitations without giving up. And so peer-to-peer learning is like a mirror. It shows young people that they're not just recipients of knowledge, but co-creators. And so unlike top-down mentorship, peer-to-peer learning builds confidence and ownership. And youth, through this process, through these systems, through these networks, get to see themselves as insiders with agency, capable of shaping the narrative of food systems instead of seeing themselves as outsiders who are waiting to be beneficiaries or recipients.
So peer-to-peer learning can allow for co-creation and agency building. Shifting gears slightly, how do you see digital creativity and communication shaping the future of agriculture and food advocacy?
In a fast-paced world where everyone jumps on the latest trend, the agri-food system must adapt to stay relevant. And so digital creativity through social media, storytelling, infographics, short form video gives youth visibility and makes the agri-food system modern and relatable. And so by riding on these trends, food advocacy keeps pace with the world and stays part of the global conversation. And young people also get to stay engaged and aware.
So you're saying in a fast-moving world, the agriculture space must adapt to stay relevant to young people. Beyond production, what other areas of the food system should young people be encouraged to explore?
The first one, number one, I would say food processing. Youth can create small scale enterprises producing safe and nutritious products that they're able to take from maybe losing the health values or the nutritious aspects of those products. So it could be drying, it could be cooking in a restaurant, opening up eating places, healthy eating places. That is something, an avenue that I think young people can explore. So this not only adds value, but also is one way of generating income while promoting healthier diets. The second one is education. Young people can offer education in form of workshops, online courses, community programs, and youth can earn through training services while helping families adapt sustainable practices and balanced diets. I did say I'm an entrepreneur for rural access, and part of my role as an ERA, Entrepreneur for Rural Access, is showcasing farmer to farmer learning videos. And as an entrepreneur, I have a cost to that work that I do. So many other young people can also take up education on nutrition, on sustainable production, on many other things that are happening in the agri-food system space. The third one, I would go with distribution and logistics. Youth-led delivery services or cold chain solutions, or maybe just farm-to-market apps can reduce waste and ensure fresh, healthy food reaches consumers. And so this is also something that creates business opportunities, and young people can earn an income out of it and sustain their lives. Number four, I will go with advocacy, consumer advocacy to be particular. Young people can build platforms that review food products, promote transparency, or certify healthy options. And these, while they are advocating for consumers to adopt the healthy pathways, they can attract sponsorships, partnerships, and subscription models that young people can leverage to earn an income in their lives. And then fifth, I'll go with policy and research. Youth can consult for NGOs, governments, or maybe agribusinesses, then earning through research products and advocacy campaigns that prioritize sustainable food system transformation. I would also want to highlight a sixth one, which is maybe diagnostics. There's so many services, maybe laboratories that are needed, for example, in my country, Zambia, that are maybe only being offered by the government or maybe higher learning institutions. And so young people can venture into diagnostics. So there's a lot of work that goes into exporting. There's a lot of testing that maybe farmers or producers or distributors need to be able to export to other countries, to be able to access certain markets. And having that diagnostic service can enable a young person to earn a livelihood out of that. It could be a young person that is interested in soil health. So from the basic soil testing services that they can give, a young person can also be able to start building laboratory services that can make their soil testing services more comprehensive, and other people will seek those services from them at a fee, and that particular young person will in the long run build as an enterprise that would be able to sustain and would grow into a viable business.
Amazing, Susanna. So you're saying from your experience working in agroecology, there are actually many, many areas in the food system space for young people to explore as career pathways. If you could change one thing in food systems for young people, what would it be?
Wow, if I could change one thing in food systems for young people, what would it be? I think I'll go with one word: access. Access to land, access to finance, access to decision-making spaces. There is often a systemic way in which young people are excluded from these resources. And so opening up these doors, this access, making it real, taking it off of the amazing and wonderful speeches that are told out there at events and at forums, making access practical, making access less political will open up doors for young people to accelerate agri-food system transformation.
A number of systemic barriers for young people when it comes to entering the agroecology space. And we need more access. That is one of the most important keys to incorporating young people in the agroecology space and ensuring that they are part of how we develop our food systems. Before we close, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Any final words?
There is hope that young people will be able to do more within the agri-food system space. And it is with this hope that I want to see every young person not give up, to ask the hard questions, to take up spaces, to occupy spaces. And when given a chance to occupy those spaces, young people can use that opportunity, translate it into impact, translate it into long-term systems that are going to accelerate sustainable food system transformation. It's good that we have some very nice things on paper. We do have some very nice speeches speaking, and so we will leverage that word of mouth, those policies that are written down, and use it to hold leaders accountable, to ask for what we deserve, and to take up our passion and run with it and not give up and be able to thrive within the agri-food system space.
Thank you so much, Susanna, for taking the time to share your experiences and insights with us today. It's been inspiring to hear about your work advancing youth development, agroecology, and sustainable livelihoods through initiatives that empower communities and strengthen food systems from the ground up. Your perspective highlights the importance of creating pathways for young people to thrive across the agri-food systems, while drawing on both innovation and intergenerational learning. And thank you to everyone listening. We hope this conversation has offered you new perspectives and highlighted the important role young people are playing in shaping more resilient and equitable food systems. You can find more youth voices and stories at mzizimag.africa, including the Mizizi Youth Edition launching in June 2026. This has been Mizizi Youth Voices. My name is Hannah Harper, and I've been your host. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to bringing you more youth voices from across the world.